Welcome. You are watching Democracy Undecided. Today we will talk about the safety of citizens, what it is, how it is structured, and why the state must guarantee it in all major areas of life. When the most people hear the word safety, they think of police on the streets or soldiers at the borders. But the true safety goes much deeper. It means trust in the food on your plate. It means the confidence that you can afford the home, stable work, access to education, and assurance that if you fall sick, you will receive proper care. Real safety is not just the absence of threats. It is the presence of stability and dignity in everyday life. And here's the key point. Broad citizen safety is not an accident, and not just the outcome of economics. It is the result of how well democracy functions, how strong and fair the legal system is, and how effectively the economy delivers stability. These aspects are all interconnected and ultimately depend on the political choices of leaders and their accountability to citizens. In this series, Democracy Undecided, we explore how different countries protect their people. But before we dive into Switzerland and beyond, we need a foundation. Using research from United Nations, the World Bank, the OECD, the World Health Organization, and others, we've identified 11 pillars of state safety. Together, they reveal what it really means to feel secure. The first pillar is personal safety, which means protection from crime, violence, and everyday risks. According to the UN Office on Drugs and Crime, Japan has one of the lowest homicide rates in the world, less than one person per 100,000 each year. The Gallup Law and Order Index confirms that most Japanese people feel safe even when walking home at night. Now compare that with South Africa. UNODC data shows homicide rates nearly 10 times higher. And Gallup surveys reveal that only about half of South Africans feel safe in their own neighborhoods. And crime is not the only danger. The World Health Organization reminds us that in some countries, road accidents take more lives than crime itself. In Thailand, more than 20 people per 100,000 die on the roads each year. In Sweden, the number is fewer than 3. The second pillar is social and public safety, which covers healthcare, education, and the ability of a state to support its people in times of crisis. The World Health Organization measures universal health coverage. France is among the top performers, ensuring affordable health care for nearly everyone. By contrast, the OECD points to the United States, where despite in the world's highest spending per person, millions remain without insurance. Education tells a similar story. The UNESCO Education Index ranks Finland and South Korea among the best, with strong schools and equal access. But in Niger, fewer than 1 in 5 children finish primary school. That's a serious threat to country's future. Social safety also means protecting the most vulnerable. According to the OECD Social Expenditure Database, SOX, Scandinavian countries spend more than 20% of their GDP on social programs, supporting elderly, low-income families, and children. In much of sub-Saharan Africa, these expenditures are sometimes below 5%, leaving millions without help. The third pillar is food safety and security, which ensures that food is safe, affordable, and consistently available. The Food and Agriculture Organization of UN, so-called FAO, ranks Singapore amongst the leaders in food safety regulations. But FAO also warns that Singapore imports more than 90% of its food, making it highly vulnerable to global disruptions. On the other side, the Global Hunger Index shows Chad and Yemen with alarming levels of undernourishment. And the World Health Organization reminds us that in Southeast Asia, weak regulation often leads to foodborne illness outbreaks, while in Europe, strict standards keep such risks much lower. The fourth pillar is political and civil safety, which means protecting people from abuses of power and ensuring their rights. The World Justice Project's Rule of Law Index ranks Denmark and Norway near the top, while Venezuela and Afghanistan sit near the bottom, where corruption and weak institutions leave citizens unprotected. According to Freedom House, Canada is classified as free, while Belarus is rated not free, where dissent and independent media are tightly controlled. And in the Transparency International Corruption Perception Index, New Zealand and Denmark rank among the least corrupt, while Somalia remains at the very bottom. The fifth pillar is national and geopolitical safety, which is about protection from wars, terrorism, and external threats. The Global Peace Index places Iceland, New Zealand, and Switzerland amongst the most peaceful nations. Meanwhile, Afghanistan, Syria, Russia, and Yemen are at the bottom, devastated by war. Ukraine, too, has sharply dropped in the rankings due to the ongoing invasion. National security also depends on basic resources. In countries with weak institutions, states often fail to provide even water and electricity, putting citizens at risk even in peacetime. The sixth pillar is socio-economic safety, which includes jobs, financial stability, and pensions. The International Labour Organization highlights Germany and the Netherlands as examples of strong worker protections. In India, by contrast, more than 80% of jobs remain informal, with no guarantees. The OECD Job Quality Index ranks Norway and Sweden at the top, while Turkey and Mexico are among the lowest within the OECD. The Mercer Global Pension Index shows the Netherlands and Denmark with highly sustainable pension system. Argentina, however, struggles with instability, leaving its retirees uncertain about their future. The seventh pillar is housing and shelter safety, which means access to secure and affordable homes. UN Habitat highlights Finland's Housing First program, which has cut homelessness by a third. But even wealthy countries like United States, United Kingdom, and Canada face deep housing crises, as UN and OECD reports confirm. In Nigeria, rapid urbanization has forced millions into informal settlements without basic safety. The eighth pillar is environmental and climate safety, which ensures clean air, clean water, and resilience to climate change. The Yale Environmental Performance Index ranks Denmark and Sweden near the top. India and Bangladesh, however, rank near the bottom, where pollution causes millions of premature deaths each year. The Climate Risk Index from German Watch lists Mozambique and Philippines among the most vulnerable to natural disasters. Japan and the Netherlands, also exposed to risks, score higher thanks to massive investments in protective infrastructure. The ninth pillar is digital and information safety, which covers both cybersecurity and access to trustworthy information. The International Telecommunication Union's Global Cybersecurity Index ranks Estonia, the UK, and the US at the top. Estonia is especially known as a digital society where people can even vote securely online. But at the bottom of the ranking are countries like Sudan and Nepal, where millions are exposed to cyber threats. The Reporters Without Borders Press Freedom Index puts Norway at the number 1 for press freedom, while China and North Korea sit at the very bottom. The 10th pillar is cultural and identity safety, which ensures that people can live without fear of discrimination and preserve their heritage. The Minority Rights Index and UNESCO reports highlight Canada as a positive example of protecting multicultural rights. But these same reports document severe repression in Myanmar, where the Rohingya face persecution, and in Iran, where the minorities struggle to preserve their identity. The 11th pillar is energy safety, which includes reliability, affordability, and sustainability. At the national level, the World Energy Council's Energy Trilemma Index shows Norway and France performing strongly, with reliable supply and investment in clean energy. Lebanon and South Africa, by contrast, suffer from chronic blackouts, leaving millions without electricity. But energy safety also happens at the level of homes and communities. The International Renewable Energy Agency, IRENA, notes that distributed resources, rooftop solar panels, home batteries, and microgrids are becoming essential. In Australia, more than 30% of households now produce their own electricity. In Germany, millions of homes supply solar power into the grid, reducing dependence on imports. Clean Energy Wire reports that rooftop systems there already account for 38 gigawatts in Germany. In Lebanon, by contrast, families are forced to rely on costly diesel generators whenever the grid collapses. So, state safety consists of 11 interconnected guarantees, from crime to jobs, from food to housing, from healthcare to digital rights, from climate to culture, and of course energy. But none of these areas stand alone. Their strength depends directly on how democracy functions, how independent and fair the legal system is, and how strong the economy remains. When institutions are weak, safety collapses. When democratic accountability is strong, societies become stable and secure. This is why these 11 pillars are not just indicators of social well-being. They are a mirror of how a country is governed, how politicians keep their promises, and how responsible they are to their people. And here we must highlight that the role of social programs is essential. They are what turn economic resources and political choices into real security for citizens. According to OECD SOX, Scandinavian countries spend more than 20% of their GDP on social protection, supporting the elderly, low-income families, and children. In many parts of Africa and Asia, spending is below 5%, leaving millions without safety nets. Social programs are items test of whether democracy and the economy truly work for all citizens or only for the wealthy few. Stay with us to discover which democracies truly keep their citizens the safest. You can also watch this video in Ukrainian and Russian on our channel. This is Democracy Undecided. Thank you for being with us and see you in the next episode, where we will apply this framework to Switzerland, a country famous for its neutrality, prosperity, and unique democracy.